Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Hotter Than Hell podcast. This is your last stop on the crazy train of hard rock and heavy metal. So sit back, buckle in, and hang on. Here we go.
Hello out there, you Hotter Than Hellions. Welcome to the Hotter Than Hell podcast. My name is Steve Wright. I will be your host this week, and I am, as always, joined by BC.
Hello, Hellions.
And there's BC, and this week we have a special guest from over on the West Coast, one of our buddies, and his name is Sonny Pooni. Hello, Sonny.
Hello, I made it to Hotter Than Hell, top of the world, Ma. I made it.
All right, we gotta love it. Thanks for joining us, and let our viewers out there tell them a little bit about yourself, about what kind of music you like, and your influences, and what you're up to these days.
Yeah, so I'm a melodic hard rock guy. Like if I was to list favorite bands, Kiss, Y&T, Van Halen, Stryper, Dokken, Hailstorm, Maiden, kind of like in there. I love Prince, so I'm into kind of pop too, but mostly melodic hard rock.
That's all right.
Go ahead.
Prince has got some good stuff out there. I was very glad to hear Y&T. They're a extremely underrated band.
It comes with the territory, because if you're from San Francisco and you're not into Y&T, they kick you out of the state.
Oh, as they should, absolutely.
As they should. And then, I just, the podcasting thing's kind of new to me. Got into podcasts thanks to Decibel Geek. And, 3 months later, I'm co-hosting at Podcast Rock City. I'm co-hosting a new podcast coming up called Growing Up Rock that hasn't been released yet. Releases in a couple of weeks. So, kind of got having fun with it, just sharing my opinion and talking to cool guys like you guys. That's
great. And, we appreciate you taking the time to get on with us. Good luck on your other podcasts. And I can't say that I have heard you on Podcast Rock City and Decibel Geek, and you do a great job. And you were one of the first guys that I thought of when I wanted to go outside of our little corner of Pennsylvania here. You were one of the first guys I thought of to get on there. So welcome aboard.
Well, thank you, and I'll tell you that some of you guys that started up podcasts, it's not like radio. You guys are like historians. So, I do some prep to make sure I'm ready, because I don't want to sound stupid.
Dude.
Oh, believe me, I really have to shout out to my wife of anybody, because it's right now at this point, it's new to us, and it's pretty much consuming my life, which is fine. And she puts up with it. And like you said, you do a lot of research, and people out there that are listening to these podcasts. I can only speak for myself. And BC. Well, I give BC homework to do of what we're gonna do.
I try to be a good student.
He does. He comes through though. But he knows this stuff. Believe me, a lot of stuff more than I do. I just lead him to as to what we're gonna do.
Yeah, that's cool. You guys are doing great. So I'm glad to be here.
All right. Cool. What we're gonna do, as we usually do, BC, we are going to shout it out loud to our shout out people. These are the people that have helped us out, and I'm gonna start with Sonny. Welcome aboard, like I said, and thank you. And your partners at Podcast Rock City, Jody Havnot and Joe Polo. Once again, my awesome wife out there. Thank you very much. My buddy Ed Spangenberg, he's one of my old friends from way back, and he actually just contacted me today, and he made up a cool logo that has the Hotter Than Hell album cover with our microphone and, the devil horns out there. It's really cool, and I will post that. It will be posted by the time you guys out there are listening to this. R.A. Furiosi, Jesse Maurer, Cindy Russick, Mark Satorka, as always, that awesome music you hear on our podcast. That is Mark. Ken Mills from Podkiss, the Podfather. Matt Porter from the Kiss Room. Jen Roberts-Vena, she was one of our co-hosts last week. BB, our recurring guest. Our buddy Girth out there, Chris Zinzak and Aaron Camaro from the Decibel Geek podcast, Brian Rush In, Joe Mangieri, Jeff Ludban, Mark Arnold, Jeff Dombrowski, my buddy Chris Granza, my other friend Rob Kelleher, our friend Girth, Matt Maida, our buddy PJ Fortner, we call him Diddy.
Diddy.
PJ Diddy. And Ron A. Benton. So that's our thanks for everybody out there this week. And we're ready to roll. We are going to have a nice Kiss discussion today, and we are going to talk about a very tumultuous era in the Kiss world. BC's already shaking his head over there. And we're going to talk about the period in Kiss from 1980 to 1982, when we had 3 releases by Kiss, Unmasked, the music from The Elder, and Creatures of the Night, with Killers thrown in there. That's just a little 4-song deal. Sonny, when did you become a Kiss fan?
84. So Heaven's on Fire kind of got me.
Oh.
So I was a little late, and I was about to turn 15.
Okay,
So MTV, baby, that's what did it for me.
Oh, wow. It's kind of cool, though. You're going to be looking at it from a different perspective than BC and I have been, because we were Kiss fans when this stuff came out.
Especially from the 70s all the way up to... Then right when Unmasked came out, it was a little bit different for me, I thought. But I liked it. It grew on me as in time, too. But then the Elder came out, and I'm sorry, that just killed me. And,
BC's world came crumbling down.
I didn't know what to do. And it took me a while to recover from that, but...
I think that's when he started to drink.
I might have started. I would have been 11 years old.
I remember when Unmasked came out, and, as a Kiss fan at that time, it was 1980, so I was 12 years old. And at that point, you were just happy to have another Kiss album out. You know?
Yeah.
And to be honest with you, when Dynasty came out, I did not think of that as a disco album. I still don't.
You just thought of it as a Kiss?
Yeah, it's a Kiss album,
It was new Kiss. Okay.
And really out there, if you think about any Kiss album that's out there, no 2 of them really sound alike. So every album sounded different from the one before it. So Dynasty, from the solo albums, or Side 4 of Alive 2 or Love Gun, they sounded different, but all the ones before that sounded different from the one before also. What do you think about that train of thought, Sonny?
I'm with you. I love Dynasty. I didn't have a problem with it. Of course, I found all this stuff backwards, right? And Dynasty was actually one of the first albums I bought, so I kind of heard Animalize and Dynasty at the same time.
Okay.
And I like pop music, so when I heard Dynasty, and I heard especially I Was Made for Loving You and Sure Know Something, I'm like, oh, these guys do pop too? I'm in.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, because like I said, we didn't think of it as pop or disco. It was just another Kiss album out there. Like I said on our very first show, the introduction one, about how I met my one friend Rob, and that was through Unmasked. They wanted to have that band space, and they're fighting over who's going to do Is That You, and that's the first time I heard that song. I didn't know that the album was out at the time, and that's how I got familiar with Unmasked. And there's some good solid stuff on there. BC, what would be your favorite track on Unmasked?
I would go with the Ace myself. I'm an Ace guy, so Talk to Me, Torpedo Girl. I like even Two Sides of the Coin. She's So European. I mean, as time went on, the whole album grew on me. So, but I was always an Ace guy right off the bat.
Definitely. Sonny, what stands out for you on Unmasked?
Well, first of all, it's my second favorite Kiss album. So
really?
Yeah, so there's not a lot of bad songs to me. And 4 out of my top 5 are all Paul songs. And depending on the day, my favorite song is either Tomorrow or Shandy.
Oh, okay. Wow, I was kind of surprised to hear Shandy. I'm sure you've listened to a couple of our podcasts before. We're not really fans of the ballads around here, but it's not a bad song. The songs I kind of like on there, and actually my newest favorite song on there, I could really thank to you and your cohorts on Podcast Rock City, Naked City. I always liked the song, but I never really listened to it. Like the bass line is great. It's just a great song. And, I want to thank you guys for, returning me on to that song.
Yeah, those guys, all 3 of us love Unmasked on PRC. So Podcast Rock City are definitely Unmasked champions.
Absolutely. I was thinking you guys should maybe change it to like Unmasked Rock City or something.
That's good.
Maybe Joe can change it for your next Unmasked show. And what I was talking about to BC before the show here, we were kind of just shooting the shit about Unmasked. The song Tomorrow, I like to, any albums we're going to talk about on the show, I like to listen to them all the way through and get a good feel for it and put my good headphones on and listen to them really good. The song that really, really stood out was Tomorrow. I always liked that song, but it really, like after the solo towards the end, it really has this driving drum beat that is like, that I didn't really notice it that much before, but with the headphones on and nice and loud, it really stood out, you know? Have you noticed that at all, Sonny, with that?
To me, Tomorrow is the absolute perfect pop song. Like, it is, and Anton Fig does an amazing job on it, right? So
He's good.
And he's awesome. Everything that Anton Fig has done, I've actually liked. So, but yeah, Tomorrow to me is the perfect pop song. And I'm a big believer of take the costumes away, forget his Kiss. And when I have people listen to these songs, I don't even tell them it's Kiss. And people fall in love with the songs, and then I tell them it's Kiss, and they're like, really? The rock and roll all night guys?
That's awesome.
Those makeup guys.
Yeah, these songs would have been hits if it didn't have the Kiss Love Gun Destroyer moniker like hanging over.
I agree with you there. I never really kind of thought of it that way. Maybe I'm going to have to do that to someone someday that's not familiar with it. Although half the people I know, they'll probably say, this is going to be Kiss, isn't it? But I say no, it's not. It's this other band. They're also from the '70s, but they're not Kiss. And maybe see what they think about it. And some other songs like BCM on board, Torpedo Girl. People are like, oh, that song is so stupid and blah blah blah. It's cool. It's a fun song. The bass line is cool in it.
It's rock and roll. It should be fun. People look too much into it and take away from the funness of everything. Is that a word? Funness?
Funness? I don't know. Maybe we'll put the dictionary thing up there for BC. We'll see if funness is an actual word. Yeah, but and I think I even mentioned in another episode, like if you're looking to Kiss for
lyrical
and lyrical gymnastics, you're looking for the wrong band.
I'm with you because the lyrics. I'm a big lyric guy, and I think Paul does it. Gene's got like crazy lyrics, but I think Paul does a good job of kind of using everyday words and just kind of switching them around to rhyme and kind of making it cool. But they're not the deepest lyrics. Like Soundgarden.
No. Like I said, it's not Dream Theater. You're listening to here. You get what you come in the door for.
Not Iron Maiden or any of those bands.
They're partiers. They're talking about partying and getting laid, and there's nothing wrong with that. And to expect more than that, which we're going to talk about on the next album. It's you're looking for the wrong thing on that, and I'm sure you're familiar with the videos from this album, Sonny.
Oh yeah, and I think the story is after the Shandy video was done, like Peter was done along with it or something.
Yeah. I guess apparently that was his last hurrah with them. And I actually probably maybe half an hour before we came on air, I watched the Shandy video, and there's a couple weird things in that, and if you watch Peter on that video, it really looks like he's trying to do the song justice. It's all lip sync shit, but it really looks like he's getting in there and trying to at least make it look semi-real.
Yeah, I think he knew, right, that it was the end too. But what's distracting in that video to me is the off-the-shoulder cable thing.
I was just gonna say that it's like a tinfoil shawl or something that he's got going there. Yeah, and actually I have that written down. I have a Paul shawl thing.
He was always into fashion. Come on.
Yeah, I guess so. But I mean, hey, silver was Ace's thing. What he's like was getting into Ace's territory there. Maybe it was like cast off material from his Alive 2 costume.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. I love the costumes of these eras, even the Elder and the Preacher costumes, and I like the Unmasked costumes. The capes were a little much. Like the capes probably turned me off, but the rest of it was cool.
Yeah, the capes were definitely too much. People complained about Gene's costume and stuff, and that all of them were too glittery and everything. I thought they were cool. I didn't mind them at all. And at least when you saw them in concert, I'm not sure for Gene, but Ace dropped his cape pretty quick during shows.
It's got to be a pain to play live with that.
Dragging it around,
I would say, but who am I? But
and Ace that also has that habit of doing that quick spin. Like he doesn't know when he's going to do that little 360
Yeah.
thing he does. So my guess is the cape isn't cohesive.
Yeah, not very conducive to spinning like that. He'd probably end up on his ass more often than not doing that. Although we've seen Gene taking a couple tumbles lately too.
Yeah.
When you're in your 60s, you're not getting up as quick as you used to when they were probably in their 30s when they did this album. So it was pretty cool. And the thing that bugs me the most about and it's a thread through all the Kiss, the videos, the lip syncing stuff is Gene plucking the strings of the bass. That just drives me insane. He plays with a pick all the time, but it looks so stupid when he's plucking the bass. Like, I don't know if it's just for theatrics. I'm sure it is knowing Gene, but it just looks so fucking stupid.
I've never really noticed that. I guess I got to watch for that next
Oh,
time.
really? Well, he does it on all the videos. On Shandy Talk to Me, She's So European, all of them. He's the movie Slapping the Bass, he's plucking the bass.
Plugging the bass.
Wow.
Dylan's plucking the bass as we're doing this here. And so you have Shandy, you have Peter's last hurrah there, and then
Goodbye, Peter.
yeah, BC's waving goodbye to Peter, his favorite guy. And and you watch Talk to Me, and like Ace is taking over. Ace, here's you've never seen a performance video of Ace. It was always Paul and Gene. Now here's one, boom, there's Ace out front. My buddy Rob, he probably just went out of his mind the first time he saw that. But I don't even remember the first time that we saw those videos, because I don't remember. The makeup was probably off for a long time before we even saw those. But they were the first videos with Eric on drums. And Eric got out there. We can actually switch into the tour. Actually, before we do that, I just want to say about the She's So European video too. That's a really one of my, I think, of the standout songs for me on that album. People are about the lyrics. She makes love on a brass bed because her parents are still awake. Whatever. It's a cool song. I like the little solo they have in it and everything. And the solo when they're playing towards the end of the song is really good.
Heavy keyboards, though, right? If I had my
Yeah.
choice, if I could go back and I was producing this album, I probably have Paul sing She's So European and have Gene sing Is That You? Because the original Is
That's
That
interesting.
You had a raspier vocal.
Really, I've never heard the original song of that, which I don't even know why I never even looked that up. That's interesting. Maybe I'll ask that on the Kiss cruise.
Hey guys,
I was actually thinking on the Kiss cruise I'm gonna get up. How long does it take you guys to put the makeup on? Because they're all about the ground balls when it comes to interviews.
No, you gotta ask, hey, is Ace on the ship?
Oh, good God.
did I see Ace?
They'll be putting me in a lifeboat and sending me out. Then my wife will have to tell me how the cruise was. Yeah, so I just wanted to touch on that video real quick. And once again, Gene plucking the strings on the bass on that video, which just drives me insane. Ace played the Explorer guitar on that, and Paul had the Star guitar that he used in concert on some of the songs. I think on the Unmasked, was it the New Zealand video that the main one that's out there?
Australia, yeah.
Australia,
that
okay.
Bootsy Collins guitar, right? That Bootsy Collins looking thing?
Yeah. So, and as far as the tour went, they did one show in the United States. They played the Palladium in New York, and that was it. BC's shaking. BC's doing a lot of head shaking tonight.
To me, it was the early '80s, and it was just. And then Kiss was just going in a weird direction, I thought. I'll wait till the next album we're
That's
talking
okay. BC's saving up his angst for the Elder, I think, here. Yeah, so, but like that tour, I remember they were showing videos one night on, I think it was USA Network or something, and you finally got to see some of that footage from Unmasked. And I remember seeing that and thinking, wow, like Eric Carr, like that's the first time I heard Detroit Rock City played with like double bass drums, and it just like blew me away. And so I'm sure you've seen that show, right?
Oh, yeah. And I thought it was cool that they let Eric, like they didn't, no, it doesn't seem like they told Eric, play it like Peter. They just said,
No.
Eric, play it like you're going to play it, and they were letting him go off.
Right. I think they really wanted him to bring the heavier side of the band out live, which even, when they did The Elder, which even baffles my mind even more, because they saw what he could do live with the material that they already had, and we'll get into that in a little bit. But he was a monster drummer live, and he really, I think, revitalized their live sound when he came in the band.
Understatement of the year right there.
Yeah. and you know what always intrigued me last year when they were getting ready for the Kiss cruise, you were able to submit a question to question the band on the cruise. And I always want, and I knew mine wasn't going to get picked, but like I want to know the answer to this. And a lot of people are like, even my buddies, like, well, that's like fucking stupid. But like, it's something that I want to know. Like when they do Black Diamond, and the first time I ever saw it was on that Australian show. When they do, when they're going into the solo, and it's down, 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 and then they put in those extra notes, down, 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 down. And I always wanted to know like how that came about and whose idea that was, because even now they still do it once in a while, but they don't do it all the time. Do you know what I'm talking about, Sonny?
Yeah, my guess is Ace messed up once and it stuck.
Oh, okay. I never ever thought of that.
Yes.
That's a good guess. I like that.
I never thought of that. I don't know. I always thought maybe they just tried to, I don't know, make it more interesting or just try to change it up with Eric or something. But like I always wanted to know the answer to that, and I submitted that question, and of course I didn't get picked. They picked all the ground balls and everything on that. I knew they weren't going to pick mine, but I want to know that. It breaks away on my mind. Yeah. So anything else you think about that tour, Sonny?
No, I just I wasn't into Kiss yet, but it's a shame that it didn't tour the U.S. But I guess if Australia and Europe is going to treat you better, then you got to go. But they canceled a bunch of shows in Europe too, so yeah, it was just it was a tough time for them. Yeah,
it was. They had a rough road of it there, and the songs they did from Unmasked, they did "Is That You," "Talk to Me," "Shandy," and "You're All That I Want" live. "You're All That I Want" I think lasted like four shows or something like that. But that would have been interesting to see. I think to see them do that song. It's definitely not one of my it's probably one of my least favorite songs on that album. But it's still a different Kiss song that you've never seen them do. And it's live. Yep, absolutely. So hopefully we get some better non-Gene finger picking videos coming up. But I think I'm going to spoil it. You're probably not. Another interesting thing on that was that they kind of was weird too. They introduced Eric on Kids Are People Too, and I remember seeing that, and I'm thinking, well, they have Kiss on this show, and they bring Ace out first, and then Paul, I think, and then Gene. They sit down, they talk with the guy, and you could tell that the host like has no friggin' clue about Kiss, and he's just like friggin' clueless. And then they bring out Eric, and he says, how is it being in the band? He's, Eric, he's like, you can tell this guy's just ready to like fucking burst. In the very first question, one of the kids asks, like, what about Peter Criss or something like that? The kid asks. And here they are trying to introduce their new guy, and it was just, I think it was a terrible venue to introduce the new guy because they were getting into the kiddie stuff then, and how could you be more kiddie than Kids Are People Too?
And the other weird part is they almost represented, at least in my mind, they represented Eric as the new guy and the kid, but he's 2 years older than Paul.
Really?
I didn't think it was.
I didn't know that either.
He's at this point let's say Creatures, he was 32 years old and Paul was only 30. So at this point, Paul's not 30 yet, but Eric is.
Huh. I didn't. I probably knew that, but it probably never even dawned on me that was the case. But yeah, that's weird. Yeah, I mean, hey, like Jason Newsted in Metallica, he was the new guy for like 20 years.
Still the new guy.
Yeah.
He's not in the band no more.
He'll always be the new guy. Robert Trey will be there for 20 more years, and then Jason Newsted will still be the new guy. And they didn't hand Jason Newsted a check for $1 million either.
That's what I was going to say. Did he ever ask for his $1 million?
Yeah, no shit. He should get it like retroactive. Yeah, that's just crazy. So, all right, so we're gonna transition away from Unmasked, and we're gonna get into BC's favorite Kiss topic that he just loves to talk about, and it's his favorite album. Music from the Elder, released in November of 1981. And they brought Bob Ezrin back, our great friend, Mark Anthony Kay from KISS FAQ podcast. That's his favorite producer out there, Mark. He totally, and here's a guy, and Mark is awesome. You got to love his hatred for Destroyer. He just hates it.
Really?
Yep. He thinks Bob Ezrin just like killed him with that. And he's got some good points. And I think Mark gets some vindication when the Elder comes out on Bob Ezrin's style or whatever. What's your overall feeling on the Elder, BC?
Here we go, people.
Soapbox time.
Soapbox is right. Even to this very day, I have trouble listening to it. It's just, I don't know. There's so much. At KISS back then, of course, we're 7, 8, 9, 10 years old. Now we're 11 years old. And the music scene, you were just trying to get as much music. At that time, I was. Money was limited back then when you were just a kid. But, there's so much. Black Sabbath was out, Def Leppard, Van Halen. Because I was into Van Halen earlier than this. And then it came out with this. I put it on. I was like, what the hell is this? I don't know how to explain it. I'm lost for words right now because it still gives me like, what were they thinking? They sit in the studio with the music scene, the music world around them, and here they are putting out an album that is painful in my opinion. So much more music out there. Saxon, Rush. Not that I was a big Rush guy back then, but
Tom Sawyer was out then.
Tom Sawyer was out. It was just
moving pictures.
Like you said, at that age, you're just trying to get so much music, and there was so much out, and
you couldn't buy it all.
You couldn't buy it all, and then when you spent your money on this, and you're like, "What the hell is this?" And that's left a bad taste in my mouth until this very day.
Yeah, Sonny, how long were you into your KISS fandom when you got back in when you first listened to the Elder?
So I was in my third year. Because by 17, I had all the albums I needed, right? So
okay.
That's all. I only bought really KISS albums after I really got into it. At 17, I absolutely hated this album. So I'm 47 now, and I want to tell you personally, the other day on the airplane on the way back from Wisconsin, I put this album in and went through the 42 minutes of pain once again.
Ouch! Ouch!
It is. Now, when you got yours, did you have the original release version, or did you have the remastered one?
I had the original release because I bought it as a used LP.
Okay, that's the one that we, because when it first came out, that's what we had and that's what we got. And I remember we used to, me and my buddies used to belong to a youth group in our church, and we would go on a weekend retreat in the fall, early winter of the year of Creatures and the year of the Elder. And we were at the King of Prussia Mall, which is a huge mall down by Philadelphia. We didn't even know a new KISS album was coming out. And we walk into the store, and they had a whole wall of it, and it looked like just like a wooden wall. You have the little KISS symbol on the top, and you really had to look at it and go, wow, holy shit, is that a new KISS album, or is it just, what is it? We look on the back and you see that, and there's like no pictures of the guys on there, and you're like, wow, the Oath, like fan, just a boy, like, you don't see any Love Gun or, any songs that you would think would be about getting laid or partying like that. And the thing that sucked the most was that we picked it up on a Saturday, and we didn't get home till like fucking Sunday night.
You didn't miss that.
Yeah, really. So but you're a young KISS fan, and you had that anticipation. I got this KISS album in my hand, and I got like a whole nother day and a half till I could friggin' listen to it. And then I remember dropping the needle on that, and it was the Oath, and I'm like, wow, Paul's voice is like really high. Like, why is he singing like that? Later on in life, you think, when you're 11 years old, or 12 years old, you're not thinking, maybe someone's like grabbing him by the balls or something like that. And he's singing like that. But then like you hear Fanfare and Just a Boy, and you're like, what is this? Like, Dark Light Aces. Only song that he sings on that was okay, but that was still a weird song. And he's playing the solo, and you hear the bongos and all that shit. And you get the Only You and Under the Rose, and they kind of sound to me like one song, those two together. World Without Heroes, and you're like, wow, this is like like Gene singing like a Beth type song. Like what's going on here?
Where did the demon go?
Yeah, and then Mr. Blackwell comes on, which was kind of cool. But in that song, I think Mr. Blackwell represents the most Bob Ezrin-ish part of the album, because you have all that like the wood blocks in that one part in the middle, where you hear the guy whispering Mr. Blackwell and all that stuff, and very atmospheric, like the kind of like the shit that was in God of Thunder, kind of stuff like that. I was waiting to hear his kids like screaming in the background or something, and then so we listened. I listened to the whole thing, and I remember the next day in school, we told each other, let's go home, listen to the album, we'll talk about it, the next day. And we met before school. We're just all fucking shaking our heads, going, "What the hell is this?"
It was raining that day. It was horrible.
Yeah, so it was a shock to the system, and
especially back then, like you said, you bought an album, you didn't hop in the car and you put it in the player. You had to wait until you got home. In your case, over a day.
Yeah.
And you put that on, it was just like,
not good, just not good.
Because you're definitely devastated, because like you just spent a week's worth of money on something that was horrible.
Yeah. That was a week's worth of getting up at 4:00 in the morning to peddle newspapers. 6 out of the 7 days of the week, and it was just so disappointing. And at that point, you knew Eric Carr was in the band, and we had seen him play those live clips and stuff from Australia. You're like, oh man, this new album with Eric is they just gotta really show him how much he kicks ass, and it's like it's just not there.
Yeah, and then later on when you hear, like when I read Paul's book, and Paul said it several times, that I guess Ezrin was partaking in the white powder significantly.
Yeah. He was.
I've never tried cocaine, and after listening to this, I'm glad I never did.
Yeah.
But it also explains some things. I found out recently that they had demoed Partners in Crime and Nowhere to Run for this album, and Ezrin said, no thanks.
Really?
Oh my God, he had to have been hammered.
Oh yeah. Well, they didn't. Well, to even come up with, I'm sure the story itself was a Gene thing, and and Bob probably with his mountain of snow, probably was like, yeah, great idea,
Yeah, let's do it.
And that could be our PSA for the week. You people stay off drugs, because if you're in a band, you make a fucking album like The Elder,
And some of your fans never recover.
You don't need no eggs in a frying pan. This is your brain on drugs.
Yeah.
Listen to this album.
Just hold it up and say, this could be you.
Like the music that year, MSG, Crocus, there was just so much. It was like, and that really drove me away from Kiss at that point in my life, until Creatures. Thank God. Yeah,
and when we get into Creatures, we'll there's definitely some great shit there. And at that point, we're waiting. Obviously, new album. You're waiting for a tour, and then boom, they're coming on Fridays. Cool show with our buddy from Seinfeld, Kramer, was on there. His early days, doing and he was still a great. Like a physical comedian at that point, doing crazy shit on that show. And it had to be just a real letdown for Kiss. Like if you watched Fridays, I remember we watched it, and it was before we had VCRs and stuff, and so we taped it on a cassette recorder.
And I never noticed until you had me do my homework, was the crowd. Because back then, when you're that age, you want to see Kiss, you want to see the band, and you want to see Eric playing the drums. You just want to check out everything. I never paid attention to the crowd until recently.
Yeah.
And it like you said, it had to be devastating to come out and be like, look at these people. They don't I don't think they know who Kiss is.
Yeah. So I told BC, I said, when you're watching the video, I said, watch, they show from behind Paul a couple times in the crowd. They're just like fucking sitting there. And, and they were playing, probably the last show they played before that was the last show that Ace played with, the concert that they played with them in makeup. And, they're playing for, 30,000 people or whatever in Australia and New Zealand. And the next show that they play, they're playing on a comedy show on a Friday night in front of like 30, not 30, probably maybe 200 people, say. I mean, that just really had to be an eye-opening thing for them.
You got to hand it to Paul, though. Even though those people were sitting, man, he was selling it.
Oh, he was.
He came to sell it, period.
He did, absolutely. And
I know you keep.
And I thought Gene, I thought they all killed it. Like you performance wise, you couldn't tell they were playing for 200 people, and we were like, holy shit, maybe they're gonna come out and tour, because when they played The Oath, Ace did a great solo in it that is not on the album, and then like an outro solo in it, and it was like, wow, and they got done, and unfortunately you didn't get to watch them all at once. They were in different segments of the show, and we're like, holy shit, man, that was like fucking cool, like, and at that point we hadn't seen the costumes, so you're looking, okay, Paul's headband, that's kind of weird, and Paul's boots were kind of girly, but like Gene's costume was cool, Ace's was cool, Eric you really couldn't see, but he had that awesome drum kit, and like, and he had that great sound and the great look to him, and it was just, that was a glimmer of hope out there, I think, for us at that point.
I thought the double bass drum set was nice.
It was great to see. It was a change of pace. Like I said, Sonny, it's I'm sure it's tough for you to kind of get on board with that, because you didn't see it live, but like as us as young Kiss guys, that after listening to the album, being so disappointed in it, The Oath is probably still like the most rocking song, that and I on there, and they killed it. They absolutely friggin' killed it, and we were hopeful at that point that they were gonna do something more than that, but that turned out to not be the case.
And the other part that was different for me, like you said, I've already heard Asylum, Animalize, Lick It Up, so I know that they've recovered, right? You're looking at going, oh my God, it's over.
Yeah. Exactly. Like, oh my God, what happened?
Yeah.
And I'm looking at it going, man, they had some low lows.
I know, and it's all perspective. It's we can look on it all back then, but I'm trying to. I was preparing for the show, I was trying to get myself back in that mindset that when I picked up these albums and when I first saw these videos and all that stuff, and like a wave of disappointment hit me. I'm like, holy fuck! I forgot how much I was disappointed when that album came out. It was just like friggin' insane. And Paul's voice on Fridays was phenomenal. Gene was demon on steroids on that. He brought it, and they all did. And at that point, we had no idea that Ace was hanging on by a thread in the band. When they got done with the first show, Ace, Gene, and Paul, they're all in the middle stage. They got their arms around each other, and Gene's pointing to Ace, and Ace is pointing to Gene, and they were the big happy family that they wanted everybody to see them as.
You thought it was the Partridge Family. Everybody's happy.
I don't know. Have you guys heard the version of A World Without Heroes by Witherscape?
No.
Okay, so in 2014, you want to put this on your Facebook page when you release this. In 2014, there was a band called Witherscape that released an EP, and they did A World Without Heroes, and it's a heavy metal band, and they actually oomphed it up. If Kiss would have done it like that, it would have been my favorite song on the record.
Wither what?
Witherscape. Okay, I will have to check that out. And for all you Potter Than Hellions out there, we will put that up there. And did they do a video for that? Do you know, or just? I'm sure it's on YouTube that we can post it, right?
Yeah, they just have like the album art, and you can hear it. It's just audio.
Okay, that's cool. We can do that.
Cher did a version too, by the way. Cher had it on an album.
That I did know. I've never heard it, but I did know that.
Yeah, it's all right.
Is it? Yeah. See, I'll take your word for it. I just have no interest to listen to
I was
Cher.
going to say, that wasn't too confident. It's all right. It's all right.
So if Sonny's not too enjoying it too much, I think maybe I'll pass on it. But now that you say that, I probably will, torture myself and go listen to it for 4 minutes or however long the song is.
You should have to listen to it 10 times because I had to listen to 42 minutes of this.
Oh my God!
I know. The torture we put ourselves through for our fans.
And you were on a plane. You couldn't even go for a walk or nothing, Goose.
Yeah.
You're stuck.
And I had the headphones in, and the person next to me is probably wondering, why is he shaking his head so much? I'm shaking my head going, God, I can't believe I'm listening to
Is he listening to a really sad audiobook, this guy? And then when they did they changed the lyrics to it, and the balls to stand the load, and they changed it to guts to stand the load. But I was just reading today in the awesome Kiss Alive Forever book that is like the Kiss touring Bible, that when they rehearsed for that show, there's a tape of them doing with them saying balls other than guts, which, I don't know if that version is out there. The guy said he still has the tape to this day, which, it's only one word, but it's like when they made the Doors change Light My Fire or something like that. It was now you can say shit and all that stuff on TV.
I really like It's got a cool riff, right? It's just that finger snapping, clapping thing. I would have had a guitar solo. I'd have been so much happier.
We were just talking about that before. Dylan said it's a great riff and it's a song, but I'm like, there's no guitar solo. And he goes, well, it doesn't need to have a guitar solo in it. And I'm like, okay, Metallica, saying anger. But it would. And they could have even, on the Oath, they did an outro solo on that. They could have easily thrown one in there on I.
Yeah, because I love it when they do switch lead-off vocals.
Absolutely.
It didn't work in Only You, but it works in I.
It absolutely works in I. Definitely. And it was interesting, too, because when you have the in I, you didn't have that either. And it was just Believe in Me. They didn't have that extra crowd shouting I or whatever, which actually had an interesting sound to it, which was actually pretty cool. And
I'm just going to crack up the odor as too much drugs.
And you can tell Rolling Stone magazine that my last words were, I'm on drugs.
we're going to blame Bob Ezrin on this one.
Bob Ezrin, get off,
Bob Ezrin.
That's who everybody else is blaming.
Yeah. And I honestly think they just did Eric Carr a huge disservice on that album. God, and he had to be thinking, what the fuck am I doing in this band?
What did I get myself into?
Especially after coming off of that on the Unmasked tour where they played for, like a shitload of people. And I'm sure it was in the back of their mind, we're not doing very good in the States, but at least we're good elsewhere in the world. That had to be a wake-up call for them. Like I said, they're playing, and you see over Paul's shoulder, and he's singing his heart out, and they're just sitting there, and they didn't tour. We thought, but like I said, we thought that was a glimmer of hope for them at that point, and it was not. And BC was glad that era was over, and then next, boom, what happens? Finally, Kiss comes back, Creatures of the Night, and that was another album that we picked up the weekend of our church retreat at the same mall on a Saturday. And in this one, you had the wall of it, and you're like, oh my God, look at these albums. Holy shit, cool. You can see the makeup, and it's the blue, and it was just holy fuck. And then where you get the back, and you're like, Creatures of the Night, Keep Me Coming, Killer, War Machine. It's like, oh my God, I can't fucking wait. I really wanted to call my parents and tell them I was sick and come down and get me so I could go home and listen to the Kiss album.
Come get me. When I first put that on, I'm like, thank you, God. There's drums. There's, they're back. It was good times.
Yeah.
And there's not a bad song on it.
There's not.
I don't think so.
There's not. And I will even give it up for I Still Love You, even though it's a ballad. It is still very, very good. Paul
even to this day
is great, and the drums on that song are just phenomenal. What was your thoughts on Creatures, Sonny, when you first heard it?
I love it. Everything. It's my favorite album cover, and the only song that I think it's not even I don't like it. It's probably, in my opinion, the least favorite song is Rock and Roll Hell.
Really?
But my favorite song on this album is I Still Love You. That is the best heavy metal power ballad in the 80s, in my opinion.
Hey, I don't disagree on that one.
I have to agree with you on that one.
And even when they do that on Unplugged, Paul's voice is holy shit. How was this song not up there with some of the crap that was out there for ballads, like Home Sweet Home and Sorry Crew fans and like some of the Whitesnake ballads and shit. Like Paul just absolutely kills it on that.
I would have, if I was them, I would have re-released I Still Love You sometime in that early 90s, right? Either in Hot in the Shade, probably not on Revenge, but either on Hot in the Shade or Crazy Nights, just to bring it back, because they must have known it got lost in the shuffle too.
Definitely. I'm gonna say I probably would think that they didn't release that as a single just because of the power ballad thing of that. They wanted that album to be known as a rocking album, and they didn't want to do that, which they should have. I think it was a major misstep for them to not release that as a single.
In the world of ballads at that time, the lyrics to that song is more realistic, I would say.
Yeah.
And like, oh, I love you, miss you, blah, blah, blah. It was, to me, more realistic than other ballads that were out at that time. I thought so. I don't know.
I agree.
And I love that unplugged version, but in my opinion, the Animal Lives Uncensored version.
Oh my God. I really, and that's a whole nother show. I really think that should have been released as Kiss Alive 3, that show, or a show from that tour. But that's a whole nother episode. We'll have to get into it at some point. And I have to say, I was preparing for the show, so what I did was I did a playlist. And actually, now that I say that, we actually skipped over Killers. We could talk about that in a little bit, real quick. I made a playlist, so I put Unmasked, I put The Elder, and then I put Creatures of the Night on there. So I listened all the way through, and I finally got a chance to listen to all three all the way through. And it went from on The Elder, Morphus, we've been summoned here, and then he may really be a champion or whatever the hell the guy says at the end. And then the very next thing you hear is the drums for Creatures of the Night, which, by the way, always, to me, reminded me of someone falling down some steps.
Nice.
Like that drum intro always sounded like someone shit rolling down a set of steps. I don't know why, but like talk about opposite ends of the spectrum. You have the talking medieval whatever the hell it is, and the footsteps and the chains and all that shit, and then you just get into Creatures of the Night, and it just, as Dylan would say, it punches you in the face or kicks you in the balls.
I regained my belief in Kiss at that time because
BC's thinking they're back.
I was gone. I was gone if it continued in the direction it was going with The Elder. I was like, and I don't even think I picked up even Killers back then because
it wasn't available. You couldn't get it. I
heard about it, but I never even attempted to get it.
I think I saw an ad for Killers like in maybe Kerrang maybe, and I was like, oh well, and I don't even know if it even had a track listing. I remember seeing the picture in it, and I thought it was weird too, like with it had the Elder costumes on it, but like it had like the pink shit, the pink lines and stuff like that, and it was kind of stupid.
I was kind of turned off to that too, right off the bat.
BC hates all things Elder.
Killers was almost like they released something new, knowing that Creatures of the Night was going to come out, right? That they released something going, hey, just reminding you,
we're still this kind of band.
Yeah, we're not the Elder. We have all these other songs.
We're not a road without heroes.
Yeah, maybe it was a little subliminal middle finger to Bob Ezrin, like, okay, we're going to release these songs anyways here. But I think Killers was like right before The Elder, though. I think they recorded those before The Elder, didn't they? No, that was between Creatures and The Elder. I think two of the songs were recorded already, like you said, and they were kind of rejected by Bob. But in the landscape of music at that time, it seemed like that now they were kind of getting more on par with what was out there. Like that year, except Restless and Wild came out, Iron Maiden, Number of the Beast, Judas Priest, Screaming for Vengeance, Scorpions, Blackout, and your favorite hometown boys there, Y&T, put out Black Tiger that year. I mean, that was a good solid year for hard rock and metal, I think, there.
Oh, yeah. And, Number of the Beast and Blackout came out in March, so they already knew what was out there before they got to this album.
Right. Yeah, because that didn't come out till November. And I think it holds up with those albums.
True. Oh, I agree with you. Paul's so aggressive right out of the gate with Creatures, it's ridiculous.
Yeah, it is. And there's songs in that set that are still staples live right now. They're still playing War Machine. That's the the fire-breathing song for Gene now. And, they'll still bust out Creatures of the Night. There's still some solid stuff on the cruise this year. They did keep me coming. I almost shit when they played that song. Like, everybody went insane when they played that. Between that and Radioactive and Wouldn't You Like to Know Me on the Kiss Cruise, people just lost their minds over that. Although I do have to say, I think they were 3 small bones that Kiss threw us on the Kiss Cruise. We're going to have a Kiss Cruise episode coming up with myself and a couple of my buddies that were on the Kiss Cruise last year. And we're going to, talk about what's going to come up this year, what happened last year, and what we expect for this year coming up. I really think it's time for my soapbox real quick. I think that the amount of money that we shell out for the Kiss Cruise, the casual Kiss fan is not going on the Kiss Cruise. The guy that wants to go and hear rock and roll all night and shout it out loud is not going to pay the money that is paid to go on this Kiss Cruise. And Kiss has to know this. They have to know this. But they outed Paul that he doesn't want to do these songs. They're not hits for a reason. But we're the fans that really want to hear that shit. So you guys, Kiss, Paul, because I'm sure you listen to it. I think you're subscribed, and I'm still waiting for your 5-star review. Play some deeper stuff. You've done it before. Throw us really diehard Kiss fans a bone out there, okay?
I know you guys don't want to hear the hits.
Yeah, no, I know you don't want to hear the hits. I know you don't want to hear Rock and Roll All Night for the 18,000th time out there. But they still play it.
I know.
Oh, bullet to the head. Okay, I'm going to step back off the soapbox.
On a side note, 2 years ago, I picked up Creatures of the Night vinyl, Glow in the Dark edition. I never knew there was one of those.
That's cool.
And I picked up at my friend's garage that some other guy was getting rid of these albums, and it's immaculate condition. He goes, I grabbed these because a friend of mine grabbed them because he knew I would be into this. It was like Creatures of the Night, and their eyes glow in the dark and everything. It's real cool.
Oh, that's cool.
And it was like a Motley Crue one, the picture disc.
Okay.
And there was another vinyl LP, and I said, well, how much does he want for these? Holy shit. These go for money. He goes, I'll give the guy $20-$30. And it was 4 albums. Here you go.
At least he couldn't pull his wallet out quick enough.
Here you go.
That's awesome.
So that's pretty cool.
Sonny, are you a vinyl guy?
Yeah, I have some, and I like the album art, right? So
I do too.
Now that vinyl's coming back,
Something about having it
when I need to.
Something like having an album in your hand.
Like I said in another podcast, I can't do it. I can't. I have some vinyl still. Like I said, my wife will kill me. She will absolutely kill me if I start collecting another audio medium here. And you're right. It's the artwork. And BC said you want to hold it in your hand, And as I'm getting older here, I'm actually sitting here with my reading glasses in my hand and looking at lyrics on a CD cover is a whole lot more difficult now than it is looking at the album sleeve.
Yeah, that's why I pull it up on this thing. They call it a laptop. You can just type in what lyrics you want.
What is that? I know, but you want to hold it in your hand, though. You want that thing, smart ass. Oh, we love busting balls on this show. It's awesome, and I'm glad Sonny's getting right in there too.
I
Awesome.
like it.
Yeah. So vinyl is cool, and BC's got his collection revitalized, and I still have some of the stuff around. I can't say it out loud, so I won't say it.
In the last few months,
start collecting
it's really gone up in price, I think. So, I've backed off a little bit on it. But I got the bulk of what I wanted to on vinyl, so I'm happy.
But I don't think BC even has a record player, though. Do you, BC?
I do, but it broke, so I got to...
Oh, all right.
Yeah, I just got the...
Oh, you just got a new one?
I just got an what is it, iPod?
He just got a new iPod, too.
iPod Touch, so I'm monitoring times.
Oh, God.
Wow.
He's gonna plug his record player into his iPod.
Yeah, and I don't really buy a lot of vinyl backwards, but like the Winery Dogs when they released Hot Streak, you could get a signed vinyl and it was colored, and so I got that. When Striper released Fallen, you could get it signed and blah blah. So I'm getting it that way.
Oh, Fallen is a great album. The Winery Dogs are awesome too. Fallen is great.
Was it on yellow vinyl at all, Striper?
Yeah, it was on white.
Was it? Okay.
You got it on white, yeah.
Cool.
That's awesome. Yeah, and actually, Stryper's another band out there that is vastly underrated. Michael Sweet, people, don't give him hardly any credit at all for his guitar playing.
Just
phenomenal.
Phenomenal guitar player, and he's an animal. Like he's doing Lynch, Sweet Lynch, Lynch Sweet. Don't mind me. And he's doing a solo like acoustic tour too. I mean, the guy's always doing something.
He's out there, yeah. He's putting himself out there. Great voice. And actually, speaking of vinyl, when they released Creatures of the Night, I guess they had a misprint. That one full side of it was like John Cougar Mellencamp's American Fool.
Really?
Yeah, I heard that. I love that album.
That is a good album.
That Cougar album, but yeah, I don't have it. But, yeah.
Yeah, so imagine that. That would have been my luck. I get the Kiss album and I have to wait a day and a half to fucking listen to it, and I get home and I put it on and like it's John Cougar. What the fuck is this?
That's awesome.
I'm waiting for this.
You'd be like, what the hell? I thought the Elder was bad. Now who's this guy on the other side? I'm assuming that maybe it was the same Kiss label, but it was the different songs. I don't know how it actually went, if it was just the label or if it was the actual music on there. I'll have to research that a little bit. But once you got into Creatures of the Night, you had the emergence of one Vincent Cusano.
Vincent.
Crickets.
Vinny.
Crickets.
So, are you guys in belief that he saved Kiss?
No.
BC says no. My belief is that MTV saved Kiss.
Yes.
I agree with that. I don't know. I love what Vinny writes. I don't think he saved Kiss.
I don't think so either.
He didn't fit in the band.
No, I don't think he fit in the band.
He didn't gel. It was just I don't know. It's
like live, he didn't. Visually, he didn't. Great songwriter, talented guitar player.
But was it a Kiss style guitar player?
He was more of a shredder.
Yeah.
But that was the style guitar player that was emerging at the time. But like
it was not Kiss.
When Ace, the debate goes on whether Ace actually played anything on Creatures or not. The majority is saying no. You have guys like Dick Wagner playing on there, I guess, and a couple different names are thrown out there who played on there. Bob Kulick, and guys like that. And it even said that Bruce Kulick, I think, played on one of the songs or on Killers or something like that. That there was a bunch of different guys, and but like you can't deny his songwriting was great on Creatures, and he even contributed even more to Lick It Up when that era came out. Yeah, Vinny. He co-wrote "I Love It Loud," "I Still Love You." There you go. There's your favorite power ballad. Him and Paul wrote that. Killer. "I Still Love You." You can't deny the power of that song. And "I Love It Loud," that's a song that they play to this day. And that's another song for me that's kind of getting like Rock and Roll All Night. Like, I could live without it. I could absolutely live without it.
It's a good song, just that all the good songs I think now just play too much and it kills it for people. At least us. I don't know.
Well, I think that "I Love It Loud" is, they say that's one of Gene's favorite songs, and that's a song that he insists is in the set. From what I understand, whether it's the case or not,
it's very Gene-ish.
I can live without it.
Is that a word?
Yeah.
Gene-ish.
What is it?
Gene-ish.
Gene-ish? Oh, Gene-ish. Okay.
Gene-ish.
I thought you said genius.
No.
It is. It is a quintessential Gene song. And since we're talking about "I Love It Loud," how about the video, guys? Sonny, what do you think about the video for that?
It's okay. I'm burnt on the song.
I like this guy.
Yeah. But it can't, the video comes off as "We're Here to Kick Ass," which is cool.
Yeah. I watched the video today for the first time in probably years. That was the one thing I wanted to hold off on until right before we started to record. And I was watching, I'm like, wow. Like I said before, I wanted to get myself back in that mode to where I was when I first heard this stuff and when I first saw this stuff. And I was blown away by the "I Love It Loud" video. You gotta be thinking, well, I was thinking at the time, you come off the Elder, the last time you saw them do anything besides all the other shit that you seen them play, the old videos, now here's the tank. Wow, look at that. Is that gonna be their stage? And it shows the tank and you can see the the tracks, and they have the fire and the turret, and they're showing the turret, exploding and stuff like that. And then my favorite Kiss member, Paul Stanley, has to ruin the fucking video by doing a fucking roll on the stage for the solo.
Now I know you want to see me roll.
It's just like, I'm like, what are you doing? Like, Paul, like, come on.
Come on, damn it.
Like,
He's got to get his TV time.
well, but he did the solo on the song, which,
The 7 notes, you call that a solo? The 7 notes?
well, as much as a solo as that song has.
Or vocalist.
Maybe he was doing the role to take away from the lack of solo, I guess, maybe. But like,
I call it a musical interlude. I don't call it a solo.
okay, we can go with that.
I like that. Yeah.
But he could have jumped off he could have did a David Lee Roth and like jumped off the tank, do a split or something like that for his musical interlude instead of a roll on the stage. We're firefighters and we tell our kids stop, drop, and roll. I was looking to see if he was on fire or something. He's on the stage.
Look out.
So
That's awesome.
but like he just, I was like, that was like the only thing in that video that just like, But I mean, there was other cool shit in there. It shows that shows Gene blowing the fire into the camera, and then the dad sitting at the TV, and his newspaper catches on fire, and it shows the exploding coffee cup when he goes to pick it up, and the walls are going out, and the mom's in the kitchen, and the fucking doors blow off the refrigerator. I mean, that shit was pretty cool.
Refrigerator room.
BC was hoping there wasn't any beer in that refrigerator.
I know.
And that was the only video they did for that album. And they went out on tour. They at that point they pretty much had to admit that Ace was out of the band after that, and that's when you see the emergence of the Ankh Warrior. Good thing BC wasn't drinking because he just spit his beer all over me across the table here.
So let's really jack up the Kiss Army.
Okay.
Your thoughts on what if Vinny would have been in Ace's makeup?
Wow. I never even thought of that for some reason. I don't know why, which is really weird.
Because I don't think you thought about it because it never happened. Like where it's happening now, it's more thought of.
That's true. I don't think there would have. I don't know. That's a tough question because there were people out there, from what I understand, that thought that Ace changed his makeup to that.
I can believe that.
That's it. I'll tell you what, Sonny. You're posing some interesting questions here.
I'm liking this. But Eric Carr came to the band. He was
new makeup,
and then it was just something you never gave a thought of. It was
you never even thought that they would wear one of the other guys' makeup.
Yeah, that was unheard of back then.
What's your thoughts on that?
I think the Kiss Army is divided on this issue today.
Absolutely.
Because of the reunion tour and them coming back so big and selling out arenas. But then, when they couldn't get 200 people to stand up at a TV show, I'm not sure anybody would have cared.
Right.
I think it would have been more forgiven, in other words. But I think there were some legal aspects there because Ace was still a full partner. So I'm not exactly sure who owned the makeup at that point.
Right. Yeah, you're right. There may have been just so much apathy at that point that no one may have cared, or as much. And also too, now in this day and age, you have the internet and everything's out there. These guys can't take a shit without it being online. So like, if you showed up at a show and you saw it and you were in the back thing and say, hey, Vinny Vincent on guitar and he's in Ace's makeup. And at that point, you might have been, what did he say? And then at the end of the show, you get out and you go, didn't he say that was Ace? No, they said it was this other guy. And you've been like, oh, okay. I think there would have been a little more of passiveness there at that point.
It's also interesting that you don't hear about it a lot, and maybe it's just because they didn't sell a lot of tickets, but if you would have went to go see Aerosmith in the 80s, and you show up and there's no Joe Perry, you would have lost it, right? So
yeah,
being out there and saying Ace is the guy, and then you show up and Ace isn't there.
But they played it out to be. Me and Steve talk about this a lot of times, like especially currently, why Kiss did not give Tommy and Eric new makeup. especially because Gene's so money hungry. Here's an opportunity to cash in on new Kiss, and there's tons of Kiss fans out there that will go and buy everything, whatever Eric would be, and whatever.
I would have bought all new shit. Tommy,
thank you. Jesus Christ. I'm having a rough night here, people.
I would have bought everything too. I would have rebought everything.
Me too. I think
I'm very surprised that
it was
happened.
a missed opportunity, and B, it kind of shows the I won't say current, because those guys have been in the band in the Catman and Spaceman makeup for years, but I think that shows the kind of the laziness of Kiss these days. I think they've grown very, very lazy. You know, my opinion. Sorry, Kiss fans out there. I still love them to death. I will go buy whatever they put out, and
it's a missed opportunity to get move Kiss. I don't know if the word's forward.
And I don't think you would have had as big of a backlash. Oh, people aren't going to know.
Person in a rock legend.
Yeah. Yeah, because we used to go to the old Kiss Expos, and when Eric first put the makeup on, there were shirts there of Eric Singer, and Eric Singer wanted Dead or Alive for impersonating a rock legend. Yeah. And we're the big Peter Criss guys in the world, and we always kind of laugh about that every now and then. But I think it was a majorly missed opportunity for those guys.
Exactly.
Yeah, my thing on the makeup is it's their band; they can do whatever they want.
Yeah, and they're gonna.
In my opinion, what they have right now is the best musically they've sounded possibly ever, because those four together musically are unbelievable. And the whole Paul vocal thing, Paul's been one of my heroes ever since I started listening to him. So I give the guy a break, because not everybody's perfect, and he's in his 60s. So there you go.
Yeah,
They can play anything nowadays.
Yeah, they can play
anything in the catalog. They can play.
And when they did the reunion tour, and Paul even said it in his book. And if anybody out there is going to check out, if you haven't checked out Paul's autobiography, get it on audiobook and listen, because Paul narrates it, and it's not monotone. He's not reading it. He's telling it. It's just like you're sitting down with Paul, and there's a lot of shit that's glossed over and a lot of shit that's not mentioned, but it is still a really, really good book. So you guys check that out. It's really cool. But back to what Sonny was saying, as far as the vocals go, whatever. They're still Kiss songs. It's still Kiss. Hey, they're still out there playing. I do cut them slack also.
Yeah, my son enjoyed them. We saw him a couple of years ago, and my son was 15. That was the first time he saw him, and he saw him with they were playing with Def Leppard, and so we see Def Leppard, and he's looking at me going, "Dad, is that the same Def Leppard? Because they don't sound like they sound like on audio." And then Kiss came on, and I'm like, he's probably going to say the same thing, because they don't exactly sound the same. And he was just big old eyes. Oh my God, look at this show, So he enjoyed it just as much. He didn't care who the Spaceman or Catman was.
Yeah.
And he didn't care how the vocals sounded.
Yeah, it's all a matter of, if you go there expecting it to suck, it's going to suck. If you go in there with that attitude, they should have retired or whatever, and you shouldn't be there. Don't be one of those people out there that just want to go and find shit to complain about. You're there to have a good time. You're there to party.
Rock and roll is about having fun and good time, not to criticize.
I mean, when Kiss was doing the residency in Vegas, I heard about it. I called up the Hard Rock box office. I bought the tickets, and then I went home and told my wife, I said, "Hey, we're going to see Kiss." She goes, "Oh, cool. Where?" I said, "Vegas." She was like, "What?" I said, "Yeah." I said, "I bought concert tickets for Las Vegas." She's like, "Oh, okay." So we booked the trip. So I bought the Kiss tickets before I even booked our trip. And we went, and we went the second night that they played, and it was friggin' phenomenal. It was worth taking the trek out to Vegas. And I do have to say, we were there the second night. We went November 7th, 2014. And it was the only night that Gene and Tommy came down from the ceiling, from the rafters, on a lift. And it was the only night they did it, I guess, because it scared the ever-living shit out of Gene. Because I remember when the lights went down and I was looking around, and we were a little bit off to the side of center on Gene's side. And I just kind of looking around, and I look up, and it's not a huge place, and I could see Gene's makeup. And I'm like, holy shit, they're going to come down from the fucking ceiling. And my wife's like, what? I'm like, look, there's Gene right there. You could just see the outline and the dim light up there. And they came down, and they met right at the front of the stage. And I have an awesome picture of Tommy, Gene, and Paul high five, because Paul came out from the middle when the stage opened up, and Paul came out from the front. Tommy and Gene came down from the rafters, and they met in the middle, and they all gave like a high five. And I have an awesome picture of that, and I will post that. So, sorry for the sidetrack there. But what I was getting at is, Paul's vocals are rough, but you know what? They still put on a great show. And it's still the classic Kiss songs that you want to see. Not the classic Kiss songs that, us like diehard fans want to see. But you know what you're getting when you go there. So if you don't like those songs, if you don't want to hear them, don't go, because that's what you're going to hear these days.
Yeah, the deep cut new song thing, that's interesting, right? Because if they play new songs, then all the diehards go to the bathroom, and all the new people maybe know it.
Right.
If they play deep cuts, the new people don't know it, so they go to the bathroom. So there's no way to keep everybody there.
No, you can't keep everybody happy. I do like when they, throwing, like they've been throwing. I would say it's not so much now over the last couple of years, but they've been throwing Flaming Youth out there, which is a cool song. I think that they've been kind of regularly doing now, which was kind of a little nugget when they first started throwing that out there. So cut them a break. Realize what you're getting when you go to see them. Just enjoy, you guys. Just have a good time. They're still Kiss, and like you said, musically, the only period musically that I like a little better is Bruce Kulick and Eric Singer.
I thought that was
because I'm you're a huge fan of the '80s stuff, and like I absolutely love Hot in the Shade. There's like anything that you really love, there's things you'd like to change about it. Like I like to change some of the production and stuff like that. But I think Hot in the Shade is fantastic. And, people out there are probably going like, what? Now, what the fuck with this guy, But like, hey, you like what you like. And I don't think I've said it on the podcast before. I tell all my buddies, my buddy Rob, he's like, he hates Hot in the Shade. So he had a graduation party for his awesome son, Ryan, that was on the Kiss Cruise with us last year. And he had a graduation party about a month or so ago, so I wore my Hot in the Shade shirt to the show, to the party. And I always tell him, embrace the shade. All right, so we went through the videos, we went through the album, the tour. I guess the tour didn't do great. I guess they averaged almost 6,000 people per show, which for that time frame, I think it wasn't too bad. But at least they were able to tour in the States for that tour. They did a lot of songs from the Creatures of the Night. They did Creatures of the Night, I Still Love You, War Machine, Keep Me Coming, and Rock and Roll Hell. Keep Me Coming and Rock and Roll Hell didn't last very long in the set. And I'm surprised that's one of your least favorite songs, Sonny, Rock and Roll Hell.
Yeah, just, there's a lot of good songs on that album, but just something about that song, I don't know why. And Bryan Adams helped write that song, and I actually love Bryan Adams. And he helped run War Machine. I love War Machine, so
yep.
I don't know. There's something about that song that I guess I just didn't get.
Have you heard the Ace version?
Yeah, that didn't help it.
Okay.
Yeah, and that was an odd choice.
That was an odd
I
choice
think.
for Ace, I think.
I think in some interview or something he said that I did that to show the Kiss fans out there what I would have done on that song.
Which was
and like you said, it didn't help. I don't think.
Yeah, he did that with Hide Your Heart too. That didn't help either.
No, I hate that version. I think that's terrible.
That was not good.
Like vocally, I'm not even gonna get into, but musically, it sounds terrible. For as much as people complain about the production qualities on Hot in the Shade, the sound of Hide Your Heart on Ace's album I think it's horrible. I think it sounds fucking terrible. Of course, I'm going to defend Hot in the Shade, but Ace does not do that song any favors. And that song, I think, was recorded by Molly Hatchet and Bonnie Tyler. Yeah. And so, I mean, it was obviously a popular song. The video was really cool. Here we are swinging into a Hot in the Shade show. So I'm going to stop the Hot in the Shade discussion right now. So
to a later date.
To a later date, absolutely. So we got Vinnie Vincent there, the Yonk Warrior, tearing it up, and Ken Keenan from the Kiss FAQ podcast. He was apparently at the show where Vinny just kept playing on his solo, which, hey, Vinny Vincent lead guitar, and then still keeps on playing. Like, I mean, that just had to be like crazy, and it's funny because like there's certain shows that different bands that are iconic shows that, crazy shit happens, and like that's, for good or bad, that's one of the Kiss shows that like something crazy happened and people are, and obviously we're still talking about it. Unfortunately we weren't there. Pretty cool to hear though. Just like different stuff like that happens on shows and that. And when they did that tour, that was the last show that they played in any kind of Kiss makeup, unless you count the drag makeup that they had during the 80s. But like the character makeup, that was the last time that they wore that stuff until 1996. That's when the Ace and Peter came back.
That's a whole nother
See, I say
episode.
Peter, and BC's like rearing back in his chair there. What we're going to do now is we hope you guys enjoyed our Kiss discussion here, and I want to thank Sonny for joining us here. But before we go, I would like to get Sonny's hidden gem for the week. Sonny, you got something prepared for us, buddy?
Oh yeah, so I'm all about hidden gems because I listen to a lot of stuff that nobody really knows or has heard of.
Our kind of guy.
We like this.
Yeah. So the hidden gem I'm going to share is an album, and it's called, the band is called Eyes, and the album is called Eyes, and it was released in 1990. It's melodic hard rock. You remember that song, Don't Turn Around by Ace of Base? It was a hit in 94.
Yes.
It was
Okay.
always on the radio.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Couldn't
So,
escape it.
That song is written by Diane Warren, and that song is on this album. And after you hear it on this album,
Really?
you'll never want to hear another version again.
That's awesome. Because Sonny sent me this the other day. I'm like, yeah, I'm like, great, and I listened to it. It's very good stuff. Actually, yeah, BC and I were talking last night, and we listened to some of it. It was really, really good.
And the reason I got into it is because one of my favorite singers of all time is Jeff Scott Soto. So when I started looking into things that he had done,
There
this
you
is
go,
one of
okay.
the albums that he was on.
As soon as you said that just popped in my mind.
Yeah, but aren't you sick of like these lead singers' egos? Like Jeff Scott Soto, these guys, like, what the hell?
That's a whole other story. So anyway, first of all, it's 1990, and they're basically hair metal, so it's a little late. They were on Curb Records, which was a problem because the Eyes was the only hard rock act they had. They had Leif Garrett,
Oh,
Exile,
good Lord.
Paul Anka, right? So they didn't know how to
They
just market.
Yeah, they probably didn't know what to do with them.
Right, they didn't have any clue. This has, and I know you guys aren't ballad guys, but nobody said it was easy. It's one of the best ballads I've ever heard, and nobody knows it.
If I can find that, I will post it.
Yeah, it's unbelievable. And they had the producer, they self-produced, but the other guy that helped along with the producer, the co-producer, was Spencer Profer. That's the guy who did Mental Health.
Mental Health, yep.
Yeah. So they had everything kind of set up, except for, the record label doesn't know how to deal with a hard rock act.
In timing.
Yeah, and the other problem was that, and this was, Jeff Scott Soto has a book, I have it, but the other problem was that I guess because Curb didn't have money, they didn't fork out money for the recording so this artist could live. They only forked out money for the sessions. So Soto had no money, so he was doing double duty in Sweden, doing another album. Then he was in a different part of the U.S. doing another album, trying to make like sandwiches he could eat.
Wow.
Right? So these guys just mismanaged it. But it's a great album. So and it's on iTunes. So if
That's
you want
great.
to try it before you buy it,
Yeah, that's what we did
great.
last night. We listened to it. Awesome,
Yeah.
awesome pick. Thanks for that pick. I mean, like I said, we listened to a little bit of it last night, and very, very good, very cool. And that is going to be another topic down the road for us. Bands that got left behind, like 89, 90, bands like the Eyes and stuff like Heaven's Edge, bands like that kind of got lost in the shuffle when the quote-unquote grunge stuff started coming around. And so Cry Wolf, yeah.
I love Cry Wolf. They're
Yes.
Mary's band, baby. They're awesome.
See, Sonny, you're our kind of guy with this stuff here. Absolutely excellent. All right, BC, what do you got?
ZO2, just the band itself, but paperback breakup. It's off of the album Tuesday and Thursdays. It was released in 2004. If you like classic rock with the modern edge, check these guys out.
Yeah, I like ZO2. You know, they opened for KISS.
Yes, they did. We around here, there's a small place they played at. I want to say they opened up for Skid Row at the time. And what year that was? Maybe 2006. It was like going to somebody's house. Like they played like in this big room in the house. It was a very cool place. Great guys. They come out in the crowd afterwards, talk to everybody. Like they're brothers, and David Zieg, rest his soul. Phenomenal guy. Just came and talked to everybody. Took the time with everybody. You don't see that nowadays.
Yeah, and they were a band that when they used to have the KISS Expo down in Hoboken, New Jersey, down at the Rothman Center, they were one of the bands that played down there. And we got to talk to those guys a couple different times. Super nice guys, but their music was fantastic. And like BC said, David Z, God rest your soul. He was the bass player that was in TSO that got killed with adrenaline. That he was playing with Adrenaline Mob, and they had that accident in Florida a couple weeks ago. But a great band. Unfortunately, they were another band that was like under the radar, and definitely a great hidden gem. So you guys check those guys out. ZO2. We will definitely post something from those guys. My hidden gem this week it's an album. It's called Dying to Live. It's by Joel Holckstra's 13. Joel Holckstra is one of the another TSO connection. He was actually still is one of the guitar players on the East Coast version of TSO. He was in Night Ranger for years and years, and he is also a current member in Whitesnake. And he put out a solo album. He has and another connection to your guys there, Sonny. Jeff Scott Soto sings probably about half of the songs on the album there.
Soto has a connection with ZO2 because David Z was in the band Soto.
Yep.
Right.
So there's a Soto connection through all three.
And actually, in Russell Allen was another guy that sings on Joel's album, and he's one of the singers in TSO also. So that's weird. It was an unwitting triangle of all of our hidden gems.
Small world.
Hitting together, and everybody out there, this honestly was not planned. I literally forgot about my hidden gem till about an hour before we came on air, and I think BC came up with ZO2 about 10 minutes before we came on
Driving in the car here.
Although Sonny was prepared. Sonny texted me a couple days ago that this was who he was going to bring, so we appreciate it, Sonny, and it was awesome having you on, and we hope that we didn't scare you away, and we could have you on again, for other topics. And Sonny actually gave me a couple ideas for a couple shows that we're working out the bugs.
Definitely
on
want to
that are gonna
talk
be pretty
with
cool.
you more because we like your insight, attitude towards what we listen to here.
Absolutely, it's like like you've been buddies with us for years. Listen to the same shit all the time. Like I said, thank you for coming on, and I'm gonna run through our usual spiel at the end here. And I want to thank everybody for listening to us, and check us out, you guys. Please interact with us on Facebook, on iTunes. Leave us a 5-star review would be great. One of the guys on this podcast tonight, and I won't mention any names, but his initials are Sonny Pooni, left us an awesome 5-star review. And if you guys listen to our
You should have to read that out loud.
You know what? Oh, if I can pull it up really quick, I will. I'm gonna have my producer pull that up while I'm doing the rest of my spiel here. I will read it. It's a great post. It's a great review, and if you listen to our first official episode, it's called Cat Bash and Gene Simmons Live. And we're not extremely kind to Peter Criss, but we love Peter Criss though.
We do.
And Sonny wrote his review in the vein of that. So Dylan is looking that up, and everyone is out there is just shaking their heads. I'm gonna.
Don't hate.
I don't know if you're gonna be able to read it. It's really small text.
Oh wow! Shots are coming across the brow.
Ouch.
That's why we don't let you talk all the time, Dylan.
Do you want to try it, or do you want me to read it, or what?
You read it. You read it.
Okay.
I don't want to. I don't
got
want to
the
sing
voice.
my own praises here.
You got the voice.
Okay.
Are you tossing and turning because you can't find a true rock podcast? You matter to me, so I'm going to suggest that you try the Potter Than Hell podcast. It's an easy thing. All you have to do is subscribe, kiss the girl goodbye, and scream "Rock me, baby" as you turn the car on and play the podcast through the Bluetooth. So don't you let me down and give these guys a chance. Keep up the great work, guys. No matter what, I'm going to love you, Sonny Pooni.
That's awesome.
Thank you.
We appreciate it. Did you leave any songs out?
Yeah, there was a couple I couldn't fit in.
Okay.
Yeah.
We appreciate the love. We do. You know what? And just for that, Sonny gave us the great review and had all those awesome Peter Criss song titles in there. I will go on my iPod or my phone, whatever I'm going to listen to, and I will listen to the Peter Criss solo album one more time. All right? I'm not promising I'm going to like it anymore, but like I said, when I listened to it the first time, I hate it less than I had before. Let me get back to thanking you people. We really appreciate you checking us out. And right before we went on air today to check out this show, we had over 1,700 downloads of our show, and you guys are just kicking ass out there. We appreciate it. It's on iTunes. Subscribe to us. Share the episodes. Get on Facebook. Interact with us. Let us know what you like about the show, what you don't like about the show. Any topics you guys would like us to talk about, let us know. Give BC a reason to get up on his soapbox. You know, we love when to hear BC's rants.
Make me angry.
Yeah, that's real hard to do. So you guys, we're on YouTube. We're on iTunes. Subscribe to us. Check us out. Interact with us. And Sonny, I want to thank you again for coming on the show with us.
Oh, I appreciate the opportunity, and just a quick story.
Go ahead.
July 5th, 2 o'clock in the morning, 2011. There's kids in the back of the kids, our neighbors behind us, playing with fireworks, just being kids. Firework lands in my neighbor's, the fence splits us, it lands in their neighbor's barbecue, lights up the fence. And the policeman across the street pounds on the door, my family gets out safe, and there's a fire, and it's going towards both garages. Fire department came, put everything out, they were great. They left without even saying anything. We didn't even get to say goodbye or thank you. They just kind of went on to the next thing. So I guess what I'm sharing is mad respect for every firefighter and policeman out there and what you guys do. So I appreciate what you guys do.
That's awesome. Thanks, Sonny. We appreciate it. And that's you know, and just a little insight, that's pretty much what happens. You know, we're there just to do the job, make sure everybody's safe. It is nice to hear good things once in a while. You know, we do appreciate it. So thank you very much. And BC, any last words, buddy?
No. It's an off week for me this week. So
BC's a little out of sorts this week. So if you hear a little less talking from BC and a little more talking from me, which is nothing new, we'll get him back on track for our next show. People. Sonny, once again, thank you very much. We can't thank you enough for coming on and sharing your insight to the very crazy, insane time in KISS. And
yeah, no
thank
worries,
you.
and I'll see you guys at the Nashville Rock and Pod, right?
We're hoping. We're about 90% there. We're not 100% yet.
95.
95, okay, because BC's he's in charge of our schedule, kind of. So we're pretty sure we're going to be there. So we will definitely be seeing you there, hopefully. And thanks again, and everybody, thanks for tuning in. And I want to thank our producer Dylan for putting up with us. And everybody out there, stay safe, and we will see you next time. And there will be a next time. Good night.
Does anybody else want to say good night?
Oh, I'm sorry.
Oh,
I thought. Yeah, I know. They did. Yeah, he said he really didn't have anything to say.
I apologize to people.
Yeah, I know, but like.
All right, BC, say goodnight.
Good night, people.
Sonny, say goodnight.
Good night.
Okay, see you, everybody. All right, good night, Dylan.
Night.
Good night, Dylan.
Bye.
Good night, Chip Bob.
Night, Mary Ellen.